like gate, it's a gate process where if you rub these lines, literally rub these areas in the body, it will throw energy up from the template into the outer levels of the field, so you can get more of the D12 frequency up into the outer part of the field. And then the other set of points are to use at the end of a healing session, where they would close them down and send it back in, send the frequency back in to the Kathara grid. So the Kathara Points, they're a small part of the Kathara healing program, but they're worth covering. The information on them starts on 155, and we're going to go from there into the charts, which are on, let me see, the charts are on page, they start on 128, I believe. Yeah, page 128, if these are in the right order. Okay, so I'm going to go over real quick what these lines do, what these points do. The Kathara Points are mini-energy vortices, like little spirals of energy in the body that connect directly to the Diodic point vortices in the level 3 Kathara Diodic point grid. Now, we talked about the 3 levels of the Kathara grid, the level 1 12 tree, the level 2 crystal seals grid, and the level 3 Diodic grid. The Diodic grid is the part that's most directly connected to the Merkaba. Kathara level 1 or 2 technically doesn't deal with the Diodic grid, but when we use the Kathara Points, this is the level of the grid that we're accessing. Now, the Kathara Diodic grid points are going to be, it's good, all right, I'm getting this just incoming, okay? They're telling me something I didn't know. All right, they're telling me that the Kathara Points, now that we're getting more of the Merkaba mechanics, that the Kathara Points are actually very, very useful when we begin to run later. We're going to be running what are called Merkabic healing exercises, an exercise called the salutations. If you do the set of points before and then finish afterwards, finish with the closing points, it'll actually amplify the effects. And I didn't know this, they just told me this, because the Diodic point grid is directly connected to the Merkaba fields, as part of the Merkaba fields, and the Merkaba fields are part of it. So as we're going through these points, just remember that we can play with them later. I don't know if we'll have time, because there's so many new techniques that I'm going to be introducing tonight, whether we're going to worry about the amplification part. But know it's there, and you can go back to the Kathara Points when you do Merkaba salutations and use them, the opening points before and the closing ones after, to amplify what you're doing. All right, thank you. Okay. All right, now stimulation of the Kathara Points through manual massage, just rubbing them a bit, affects the movement of energy within the related areas of the Kathara grid and body systems. What it begins to do is circulate the energy, the Maharic frequency, that you've brought up into the Kathara grid level 1. It begins making it circulate between those crossbars and those lines between the spheres. Used in sequence, the sequence 1 Kathara Points are for regeneration. They open the energetic gateways to the Kathara lines of the Kathara level 1 12-tree grid to allow new realigned scalar patterns from the Maharic Shield to run through the Kathara lines and Kathara grid for core template repatterning. Now, what that means is sequence 1 Kathara Points, they help to regenerate. They are bringing up into the outer levels of the field the flash line sequences that go with the D12 frequency. So they are bringing, if you don't use them and you run the Maharic Seal, you will temporarily recode your level 1 Kathara grid, but it will stay in the centers. It will take a while for it to begin to move through the grid lines, down through the Kathara lines, and it will take even longer for it to come up into the Diodic grid and the outer layers of the template. So when you use in sequence the Kathara 1 sequence points, it will bring it fast down through the Kathara lines, which will send it up more quickly into the outer Diodic grid points. Now, the sequence 1 Kathara Points create more lasting but less immediate effects. All right, so the energy isn't going to go all the way up into the field far enough where you're going to get very rapid healing effects, but the effects will be more lasting. It will make the D12 frequency stay in the grid longer. The Kathara 2 set of points, let me go to the next one, please. Thank you. The Kathara 2 set of points do the other. Okay, sequence 2 Kathara Points are for revitalization. They close the Kathara lines. Once you've got the frequency in the Kathara lines and starting to run through them, they close those and in the 12th tree grid, and then they channel the energy into the nadial lines of the outer bioenergetic field. We'll talk a little bit about nadial lines and what are called radius or radial lines that have to do with the radial body, which is a new material that was given to us. But this brings the frequency of the D12 more fully up into the outer layers of the field. Now, the outer layers of the field are closer to manifestation. They're closer to what your hologram is here. So when you work with the outer layers of the field, which is what most other healing modalities do, they work with axiotonal sometimes, and they work with meridian lines and acupuncture points and all those things. Those things work with the energies in the outer layers of the field. So they can create temporary healing results. But what happens with the traditional modalities is they don't last because the Kathara Grid distortions come up and put the distortions back. Now, if we use just Kathara Grid programming without using these points to bring the energy up into the outer field, you'll be recoding the template and you'll be creating the template for healing in the body, but you're not going to find as immediate results. You're not going to, somebody has a headache and you start using this. If you use these points, you'll find the headache goes away much more quickly than if you just use the Kathara, running the Kathara frequencies. So the points are important. They give you a little more control over what effects you're trying to get. If you want, more immediate healing results, you would use the Kathara Grid line points. What we tend to do is simply because the effects are good. If you use both of them, it actually gets both sides, the inside of the Kathara framework and the outside of the fields. So we tend to start with one and then close with the other one. We fill the Maharic frequency into the body, into the lower Kathara Grid templates, and then when that's done at the end of a healing session, what we would do is use these points, and then any extra energy that's running through in the Kathara Grid will be channeled up in the into the outer biofield. So it will, assist in healing at both levels. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. We'll go through them once, and this is where you get to rub yourself. You sit there rubbing, spots on you. The Kathara points are interesting because they're in a little bit different place in everybody's body. They're in the same general region. And because some of them are hard to find, some are very easy. They're touchy, like the other points, where if you rub them, you can feel, there's a little ow, if you push too hard. Some of them you can rub until you have a red spot and you're not going to feel where they are. So in the areas that they're located, it's best to just use a few fingers, and you don't even have to activate your currents yet to do it. So you don't have to go through the processes we're going to go through after this to activate current. You can actually just do it even with your regular currents running. You would just use like 3 fingers, and if it was a head one, let's say, you just rub. Not just the point, but the whole area, because it's somewhere in there. So if you rub the whole area, you're stimulating with vibration. What you're doing is putting a vibration of energy. Movement creates vibration and oscillation of energy. So you're affecting what that center is doing. You're stimulating it. All right? We're going to go to the graphs soon now. No, with these it doesn't. Some applications of different things do, but with this it doesn't. The important part of this is just getting some stimulation in there. I mean, you could even use, those silly things they use for people who like to exercise but don't like to exercise, those electronic things they're coming out with these days. You could even use those. You get your workout at the gym while you're sitting and watching TV with those things, I really wonder what they're doing to the currents and the electromagnetics in the body. I haven't looked into it yet. I'm curious, because it sounds great. Exercise without exercise. Wow. Anyway, okay. And pardon my hoarse voice. I'm getting a little hoarse, but I'm still going. Okay, but if I sound a little raspy, I apologize. Okay, there are 14 sequence 1 Kathara points. These are the ones that will assist in regeneration. Regeneration means that's the recoding part. So these will assist in, these are the ones that will open the Kathara lines in the level 1 Kathara grid. It will go through the Diodic grid, level 3, and into the Kathara 1 grid, and it will begin opening the lines between Kathara centers. So this is the deep template one. This is the one that opens those lines. And then after we go through these, we'll just go through the closing sequence. That's the one that pushes the energy up from the core template into the outer field. The closing sequence is easier. There's not as many points. And it's important to use the sequence that's here. All right, you don't start like at the bottom and work your way up wherever you want. It's the sequence, the combination of vibrational stimulation in sequence in those areas that triggers the activation of the Kathara lines in the template. So the numbers, you just start with number 1, See number 1's at the top of the head. Oh, I don't know where that little pointer went. That could be useful now. There it is. Wonderful. I'm getting used to this. I'll try not to whack you this time. I'm not used to using these. Ooh. Okay. Number 1 is up here. It's at the crown. Right up here. Kind of weird, that little spiral where when you're a baby your hair grows out in spirals, right there. There's a name for that and I forget what it's called, but it's right there. You'd rub there. Now 2 and 3 are at the temples. 2 and 3, and those you'd rub at the same time, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to have a microphone in my eyeball if I do that. But you'd rub them both, at the same time. You can do them. You can do them with me now, and I'll do them once more. We can go through them quick. Because ideally, you can whip through them really fast, and you can really, even these, I felt revitalization. I mean, maybe it's just core template, but I've made headaches go away using these. But you need to use the whole sequence, even if it's only your head that hurts, okay? Because it's opening up all sorts of things in the body. It's actually doing more than what is written here. They haven't told me yet, but I can feel it in my body when I use them. I can feel axiotonal lines opening up as well, where there's more current running, just more general energy. So I feel better after I use them, and I hope you have the same effect. So we have 2 and 3, the temples. 4 is at the base of the skull. That's that spot back here that when your 8th and 9th chakras are activating tends to swell and hurt and stuff. Okay, you rub that. That can feel really good. You usually feel like a burst of energy going down this way, and sometimes a burst going up this way. It's worth doing. You could really feel better if you're at work or something in the office. You can very discreetly kind of got an itch, and just really quick run them, or go into the bathroom, and you will feel better if you run them once or twice throughout the day. Even if you're not running anything else, even if you didn't do your Maharic Seal that day, you can still use these points, and it helps to even remember where some of them are, because rubbing some of them is better than rubbing none of them. If you're feeling fatigued, these can help clear that space, that energy space in your body better. All right, now 5 and 6 are right below the shoulders. They're right in the areas of the Kathara centers that are there. So really, you would just rub like this. And remember, because they're, any of the ones that are paired like this, you would rub at the same time. The ones in the feet, in the back of the knees, the ones down here. But the ones that are singular, it doesn't matter what hand you use either when you rub the singular ones. Okay? No, it doesn't. For this application, it doesn't matter. When you're working with chakras and things more fully, which Kathara 1 doesn't get into, working heavily with the chakras, that's when it becomes important to know your spins and what direction something's supposed to spin in, and when you rub it, what way you're supposed to rub it. But for this, it's okay to just rub it whatever way it feels good. Okay. Now, 7 and 8 are in the abdomen, in from the hips a bit. And these are a bit hard to find because, especially when you're standing up, because your muscles are tighter here. It's like they're in there somewhere. If you lay down to find these, you'll know where they are thereafter. If you lay down, your stomach muscles relax a bit, and the muscles in your abdomen relax, and you can push around a little, and you'll just feel, sometimes you'll feel a tingle or a little burst of energy from them that's pleasant when you hit them, the ones down here. So you can try that when you get home. With a lot of these things, when you get home and you have some private space, try to find these areas in your body. Try to locate your chakras. Try to locate your Kathara points. Push on the area. See what it feels like. Try to see your chakras. Those kind of things. Anyway. Okay, 7 and 8, the abdomen, in from the abdomen, they're in from the hips in the abdomen, right in there. 9 and 10 are in the back of the knees. So you would, literally, if you're sitting, you would sit and give yourself a little knee space and use both hands and just rub. There's little chakras behind your knees, and they tend to get very, very blocked during just an average day. So if you rub those, it will help to run the energy through the legs. This will also help people that have any type of varicose vein problems. Varicose vein problems, which is something that I have always had since I was about 20, means the energy flow is constricting in the lower chakras and the lower axiotonals. And if you rub the chakras in the back of the knees regularly, like a couple times a day, you will find you start to process more energy through those. The feet chakras are also the same. If you have any problems with your legs or varicose veins, or know somebody who does, rub the 2 points there that are chakras. They're little tiny chakras. And these guys, 9 and 10. And then you'd go from there to 11 and 12. If you know somebody that has a varicose vein problem, you could do a whole Maharic recoding process on them, but if they don't want that, you could at least rub those sequences on them and spend a little more time and energy on these guys. And it will make a difference if it's done consistently, like for within a month. If they did it every day, or if you taught them how to do it, or you did it for them every day for a month, they would start to notice that their legs felt better and that they weren't getting as much problem with the varicose veins. Varicose veins and all sorts of things like that are from not enough energy running through the system. It means axiotonal lines are blocked because something under the axiotonal lines are blocked. So all of the problems that become common health problems in our world are because of these blockages. The blockages hit axiotonals, and they're very much closer to the surface, and that creates the blockages that create buildups in the chemicals in the body that create conditions in the tissues in the body that aren't meant to be there. Okay? So we have 7 and 8, 9 and 10 behind the knees, 11 and 12. Now these, if you have shoes on, it's a little hard to do it. We recommend taking your shoes off, but you don't have to right now if you don't want to. The soles and tops of the feet. So you'd actually hold the foot. I'm just trying not to wipe out the microphones here. Need 3 hands for this. Okay. You kind of hold the foot like that. You'll fall over. And rub it vigorously. Do kind of like this, okay?
You don't have to put it up.
No, you don't have to put it up in the air. I don't think I got it up high enough for those in the back to see it. I'm not going to try either. I'll fall over. You guys in the back, did you get the idea of what that is? Okay, good. So I don't have to stand on a chair and try to lift my leg up. Okay, great. Okay.
So we gather that you don't have to do those at the same time, your feet?
Those you should do at the same time. Yeah. You'd sit down and basically move from the knees and then go down to the feet. You know, it's a little hard to demonstrate when you're holding the microphone and the pointer at the same time. You can demonstrate if you want, right? When we run, we're going to run through them fast without talking between, and you'll demonstrate, right? Like I'll do the, okay, now we go to this one, now we go to this one, and you'll demonstrate, right? Yes? You don't have to.
I thought you were all bright.
Okay. The 13th one is at the heart chakra, which is right about here. It's around the breastbone area. And you can usually find the heart chakra because if you use your fingers in this kind of motion and push slowly as you go like this, but push with some pressure, there'll be a little sore spot. That's the area where your heart chakra center is, and it's in a little bit different space for everybody. And you can find that sore spot in there when you press on it because there's crystal seals in there. And wherever there's crystal seals in the body, you're going to find sensitivities to pressure. All right, so if you want to find, and you can really do this with any of your chakras. If you want to find the center point in your chakras, and there'd be like a circle drawn around that would be the chakra, you can do that finger motion where it's a certain type of pressure that you can push pretty hard with the fingertips while still having a sensitivity in the fingertips, so you can run the energy right. You can find most of the embodied chakras where the center is, because they are a little bit different position for everybody, but basically they follow the same body area. Okay, the 13th one is in the heart chakra, and the 14th one is the 6th third eye chakra. Okay, that's the 6th chakra, which they call the third eye. That one is here. You can also use this one either running the whole sequence or just this one alone, or this one with the temple ones or any of the head ones, to increase inner vision. When you're doing visualizations, you can send stimulation, into that chakra through that way, and it will help to whatever level of inner vision your DNA is capable of giving you right now. It will amplify that to its highest level without going into heavy technique. Okay. All right, so now we'll run through them real quick. You want to run through them, or you want me to do? Do you want to do the body demo, or?
Got it already.
I know, but we need to run it through quick.
What do you want me to do?
Huh?
What do you want me to do?
Just rub where I say, or here. Would you like to read them and I'll demo? Come on. I was going to have us all do them together.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh. Would you like to read them and I'll rub them? Just say number 1 and tell where it is. Come on. At our age. Over the hill and then some. No? Okay.
You're going to stand up?
No, I'm going to sit down. So we do them sitting down.
You're gonna sit down.
Okay, yeah. Because we're all going to do them together. What I'm trying to do is get us all to do them together in a quick sequence without a lot of words in between so you can get the effect of the energy running. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to do about a dozen twirls.
We're just going to do one time through. You can just say the center number and where it's located. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ready to begin, children? Okay, we'll begin at the crown. Number 1. Gently. Easy does it. About a dozen.
Ow.
That should be enough. Don't want you flying off. Okay, hands, fingertips to the temples.
Number 2.
Do it.
Okay. We can move through them a bit faster.
Now to the base of the skull. Either hand. Just
Number what?
Number 4. Just the bump there.
Oh, that feels good. Oh.
Okay. Hands to the back. Points 5 and 6. Just on the pointy bit. Just below
They're
the
not in
pointy
the back.
bit. Huh?
5 and 6 are in the front.
Right
Right
here.
here.
Where do you do? On the front?
Here.
Oh, I do on the back.
That's hard to do on the back.
Sorry, I just got this through right now. Boys do it this way.
Technically, you can do that on the back, but it's a little difficult unless you're double jointed.
And the boys wearing a bra, I'll see you later. We'll fix that. Just here, nice and gently.
Yeah. Next.
Okay. Now to the abdomen, just in, usually a couple of inches in from the hip bones.
Numbers.
6, 7, and 8.
Thank you.
Do the jumping up and down thing with me.
Wait till we start twirling tonight.
Well, she's been up all night. She's like this now. All right, down to the backs of the knees, points 9 and 10. Just gentle circular motions. They're very sensitive chakras behind the knees, actually. Just be gentle.
Yeah. Unless you're really tired, then rub them with all your might. Yeah, I'll get your energy back. That's what I do. You rub harder than I
Right,
do.
soles and tops of feet.
Oh, this is fun. It's going to be harder than making my pocket.
And then point 13 up at the heart.
They can't see me if I'm down there in the back.
And then finally, up to the 6th of a group of third eyes, all the two.
Point 14, chakra 6.
God, I'm sweating. It's heck when you put me
That's
in the
hard,
pressure
isn't
like
it?
this.
Isn't it terrible?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Alrighty. Now, we're going to go through the next one, the next set of them, which there's not as many points. There's not 14 of them. We're going to go through the Kathara sequence 2 points. And these are the ones for revitalization. These are the ones where the energy, and even if you didn't run Maharic frequency yet, you're still running base frequency in your body, and you just stimulated it in the core template. You didn't stimulate D12 level, but you did stimulate what you've got. Now when you use these, you're going to kick it up into the outer auric field. So it would be closer to the surface, so you would usually have more of a feeling with it. You would get more feeling of revitalization after it. So if you use just these two things alone, as an easy thing where you don't have to worry about running currents and everything. Just those points of massage can be really handy any place. All right, so we're going to run these really quick now. Okay, I lost my pointer. Where did I put my pointer?
That's it, I hit it.
I'm not used to that. You're sitting on it. That's why. Okay. Okay. Number 1 and 2 of the Kathara sequence, 2 points, are here. They're in the neck, below the ears. And these are some of the hardest ones to actually find. So just rub vigorously in this area with both, on each side, both hands. Just rub in this area and move it up behind the ears a bit. You'll probably, there should be a burst of energy at some point, a little tiny burst of energy that seems to go down the arm on that side. That's when you hit it. All right, there should be just a little bit of tingle that might go down the arm. You might feel it actually under here because the axiotonal lines, the way they run. So you're rubbing back here.
Yeah, there's a little indentation in the bone.
Yeah.
Back from the ear.
Yeah, it's back from there. You can trace the indentation where the ear hooks in.
In the bone, just back in from the ear this way.
Yeah. But if you rub with 3 fingers, you can put one up in that area and one literally going down to the neck. You'll actually get more of the energy running.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay, so you'd rub those. And those you can actually play with and rub for a while because it'll open up the axiotonals as well. I mean, I feel the effect in the body. If you rub them and you hit them just right, there's a little like burst of energy that runs, it's a little tingly feeling. And that means you've opened conduits that weren't open at the moment. All right, now 3 and 4. These are funny. This is where you get to rub your face below the cheekbones. And these are kind of funny to do. Here, would you hold that, please? Thank you. These are like...
I always do them here.
This can feel really good, and it can also, when you
I'll hold it like that.
okay. While these in the face, while you're rubbing these, they're actually opening up many little meridian lines in the face, so they can actually help the muscle tone in the face as you're getting older. If you do this, even if you're not getting older yet, it will help you not get wrinkles as fast because you're energizing the muscles in the facial structure. So it's like if you start really young, you'll save yourself on facelifts later. Okay, so you go through those 2. Number 3 and 4. Thank you. Number 5. This one is at the base of the tailbone. This is the rear view. And that little V that would be your tailbone. Somewhere I have one. Like back here.
The coccyx or the...
Yeah. It's like the tip, the tailbone, and then like down here. And the coccyx, there's a little tiny.
You should be on either side of the tailbone. You just trace it down through this part of your body.
Yeah.
And your fingers will be either side of the bone. On the other cheekbones, as it were.
It's kind of like you can find, the little ball at the tip of your tailbone? If you find that, then move up just a tiny bit with both fingers right on the outside edge of the tailbone. Like right where you're not quite on bone. All right, that right in that area. That's the little ball at the end. Just move your fingers up just a little. And usually you can find these points because if you play around with poking around back there, you'll get little bursts of energy running down here. So you'll feel a little tingle running down there. And what's nice is the more you do this, like play with them at home, you'll just know instantly exactly where they are. Okay. I'm so glad everybody's in such a good mood today. It's contagious. All right, and number 6 is in the thymus, but if you rub right here, which is actually where the 8th chakra is, if you rub there, it sends the vibration in where it needs to be. Right.
Down the bone or around the bone?
It's right in the little hole.
Okay, yeah.
Right in the little hole area. If you press too hard, you'll make it so you can't talk or breathe right. But just rub and stimulate the area. I find that instead of trying to find little tiny points, it's actually better to give a good rub to the whole area. That way you're not going to miss it. And eventually you'll be able to find exactly where it is if you push around on your body enough. It's amazing what has been in your body the whole time that you just didn't know was there. And you can prove to yourself that it's there by starting to, investigate your body. This is probably why they told us to never touch our bodies when we were, in Catholic school. We might find something important like our Kathara centers or something. And then there's one other point. It's called an amplifier. It's not exactly a Kathara one of the sequence points, but you can use it to amplify what you just opened up. It'll help to kick stuff up further into the field. And that one is at the solar plexus chakra, which is right about here. It's kind of like in the belly region. Okay. And that should make a warm feeling. You might feel like a warm feeling spread in your tummy. And if you haven't eaten, you might feel like you want to throw up. Because it'll, like if you haven't eaten in a while, and you really should have, you have stomach acids in there that are not really great for your stomach. And if you rub it, it generates heat, and that kind of makes them more active. So if you feel like you're going to go, just stop rubbing it. It'll calm down. Okay. I'm sorry, what?
Below the breastbone?
Yeah, above the waist.
Yeah, it's a little bit low. Like the breastbone is here. It's a little bit, at least mine is right here. It's a little bit down from that. All right. Again, it's worthwhile investigating your body. When you're home alone, investigate where the centers of your chakras are. Now, all of your main chakras will be on the main vertical line, and you will be able to find that center point in them. Like there'll be a larger circle. But you can find the center point where that larger circle is centered on by using the finger pressure thing slowly down the vertical current, because you will find tender spots. And the ones that are right on the main vertical current will be the chakra one. So you'll be able to find exactly where your own chakras are, because it's usually there's like a 4-inch difference as far as, well, mine's here, where's yours? You know? So it's worth finding where yours are, because you'll be more accurate and specific when you're directing energy. Yet at the same time, you don't have to get hyper about it. You don't have to go overboard with locating things like that, because the intention you're setting when you're working with Kathara healing, even if you can't see something yet, you know the proximity of where it is. Your body consciousness knows exactly where it is. So that's a part of you that already has the information, even if your conscious mind doesn't. If you have a vague idea of where to stick the energy, and you get it close enough, your body consciousness will pick it up and do what you're asking it to do. So you don't have to be, what is the Freudian or whatever term, anal, I think they call it. Yeah, you don't have to get too upset about worrying exactly where your chakras are. Okay, so again, these you would use at the beginning of, you could use them at the beginning of a liquid light cleanse process when you do your Maharic Seal and liquid light cleanse. You'd use the sequence one at the beginning and these at the end. You can use these on a client if you're going to do a client session after you learn how to activate the triadic phase currents. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to learn how to run the triadic phase currents, and we got to learn what they are first. But these are a little thing that's kind of like an extra, don't have to use it, but it amplifies the effects of what you're doing. Okay. Wow, that was fast. Okay. Kind of what you're doing. I want to see how much of this. I'm going to try not to put too much of the pages with words on, and just try to work off the graphs, because we have so much to cover. So I just want to see where I'm here. Use the words. Okay, we don't need to read this. There's a lot of information that we won't, that I won't have time to cover sentence by sentence. It's in your book, so it's worth reading these books. Even if you took the workshop, it's worth, when you have some time at home, read them in sequence, because you'll learn a lot more. There's a lot of small type that I don't even attempt to try to bring into the workshop format, because it would take a week to give a Kathara workshop. But it's worth reading these things, because every bit of information in these books is a piece of frequency. All right, what the frequency does, and the reason why we work with the with putting stuff in detail as much as possible, is because it makes a frequency bridge onto the D3 level, which means it gives your third DNA strand and your third chakra and your mental body awareness a frequency bridge in order to absorb this information, because this information is higher frequency information. The Kathara healing program is usually not used by anybody who doesn't have a minimum of a 6-strand activation. It's being catered to what we need here, but it will help you if you take the time to read it, even just once, because you're picking up a frequency bridge as you read. Every letter in this book, every sentence, every word, every sentence is a part of a frequency bridge that if you omit a section, you're going to have a gap in that frequency bridge, and that's going to be a gap in your understanding. It's going to be a gap where, I don't quite get that, oh well, and you would do better learning the whole program and holding the frequency of the Maharic frequency when you're running it, if you have the mental body incorporated into the process, and that's what the books are for. Okay, let's see. I leaped around here. I have these already. We're going to go from that to